I'm traveling right now. I'm hanging out, about to film this cool Tabak Toyok Chako video. We've got some cool church bells going. I got the Viking ship right behind me. It's pretty cool. Give a thumbs up for the Viking ship and the church bells. So I'm out here traveling right now, hanging out with some family, doing some hikes. We're visiting this awesome sculpture park. And I've got my travel pair of Nunchaku, common name, Nunchaku or nunchucks. In Filipino martial arts, these are called Tabak Toyok, or short for Chako. That's it. So two different arts, but training with the same weapon. I'm just gonna go over some basic moves that you can start learning this weapon right now. Let's work some coordination, and let's just have some fun. Don't worry about how perfect you are, or if you drop the chucks. If you drop them, pick them up, try again. Just have fun, all right? And if you want a pair of small traveling chucks just like this, I'll have a link over to my buddy Kyle's store at Karate Mart. I'll have a link to him down in the description. He's got these and a lot of really cool pairs of nunchucks you can check out. So our first move is just gonna be a basic over-the-shoulder switch. You see this all the time with some nunchucks. I'm gonna flip it over the shoulder. It's in my right hand. My left hand's gonna be underneath my armpit, ready to catch. I'm gonna flip it over the shoulder and catch, just like this. Release with the right hand, flip it over my left shoulder, right hand's already there, ready to catch. So a little trick to this, if you're just learning this, you want that hand to get there before the chuck is there. You want it to be in position, ready to catch. So don't worry about speed and how fast you're doing this. Just take your time. Go nice and slow in the beginning. You need a little bit of momentum to get the chuck around so you don't hit yourself in the head. You can grab a pair of foam nunchucks if that helps you feel a little bit better to learn this stuff. But go slow, just take your time. A little goal that I like to set when I was first learning this, back when I was in Taekwondo and I was like 9 years old, is we had to do 100 of these, looking at ourselves in the mirror as fast as we can without dropping them. And if we dropped them, we had to start all over again. And when you're first learning it, that's a pain in the butt. But you get really good at it really quickly. So this is our first one, just a basic over the shoulder switch. Sometimes people will call this like underarm switch because you're catching it under the arm. Don't get wrapped up in the name. Just move the chucks, do the drill, and have some fun. Our second move is our horizontal strikes. I love teaching this one very early on to my beginners on this weapon because it teaches you how to absorb the momentum of the chuck with your body, and we call this rebounds. So we're gonna hold one chuck. I don't care if you're holding it closer to the string or the chain. If you wanna hold it out here, hold it in the middle, just play around with that. There's really no right or wrong on that. It just depends on what feels good for you right now, just starting out. So just play around with different positions that you're gonna hold on your chuck. Now from here, we're gonna strike horizontal, horizontal, a forehand and a backhand. And we're gonna see how I'm absorbing the momentum of the chuck using my body. I'm rebounding it off of my body. And when we do this, what we wanna make sure we're doing is we're catching the chuck as close to the chain or the rope as possible. We don't wanna hit ourselves with the end of the chuck. That's where all the power is at, and that's where you're gonna end up hurting yourself. So you wanna make sure you're catching it right there, more with the by the chain or by the rope. So just go nice and easy right here. Don't worry about extending your strikes. Just get the movement for now, side to side on the horizontal line, just like this. Now you can see there's two variations to this. On the right side, because the chuck is in my right hand right now, it's always rebounding off the top of my arm, off of my humerus. But on the left side of my body, I can either go on top of the arm or I can go under the arm. So you have two variations that you can already play with right here. Over the arm on top, or under the arm on the hand that does not have the chuck. And so play around with that. Now, once you're feeling pretty good, then you can start to extend the strike out as if you're actually hitting someone or something, okay? But just start nice and close. That way there's not a whole lot of power, not a lot of room for making mistakes and hitting yourself with the end of the chuck. And once you've got that down, then start to extend it out. Go slow, take your time. Maybe strike high right to their head. Strike down low to their ribs. come low down to their knees. Bam. Take the knee out. Boom. And you kind of change it up, play around a little bit. Move around if you want to, change directions. Gets a little bit more tricky in the beginning as you're changing directions, but it's fun. Sometimes you need a little challenge to figure out. Third technique with the Tabak Toyok, this is our figure 8. This is a very important one to learn. I'm going to give you 2 different variations of this one. So we're going to have lots to train. Holding the chuck, one end.
Okay.
We're going down and down. Basically just make a big X in front of your body. Right here. You can bring the arm into it or kind of roll it off of the elbow. These are the basics right here. Now, when you're really striking with something, what you're gonna see commonly is on this backhand, you're gonna see the palm kind of flip up. But when you're hitting something, you don't want that to happen. You wanna make sure that your knuckles are facing forward, just like as if you were hitting with a sword or just a solid stick. Because when you hit something, then this is gonna give you better follow through, so that way the chuck doesn't accidentally bounce back and hit you on the fingers. Okay, so it'll give you more sturdiness. You kind of think more like you're swinging a sword or just a regular stick. Okay, but in the beginning, if you turn the hand over just to get the basic motion, that's okay. And then you can always clean it up. So this is variation number 1. We call this the big X. Then variation number 2, we have the small X, and we're just going to use the wrist. It's going to be very small in front of you. Good for coordination to be able to move between the big X and the small X. Small X is going to give you speed. Big X is going to give you more power. Takes a little longer, right? A little more distance to travel to get the chuck to its target, but more power. So, then if you want, you can always go shoulder strikes. Your angle 1, angle 2 from Kali. So just work your X, have some fun with it. And let's get to our final one for the day, technique number 4. Technique number 4 is our around the head or the overhead. We're gonna be hitting 2 strikes for basically, 2 strikes here on one side. So I'm holding the chuck just as we have been. I'm gonna strike, it's gonna go over the head and then hit again. Then I'm gonna go back the other way. Strike, wrap it around the head, strike again, right here. So 1, 2 on the forehand side, 1, 2 on the backhand side, right here. Go nice and slow, but not too slow, or the chuck's gonna fall and whack you in the face. Gotta have some momentum here, okay? So 1, 2, 1, 2. Very important. This movement is very important here because you're learning about these circles with the nunchucks or the Nunchaku. Sometimes when I say nunchucks, I get the traditional guys out there that get really mad at me and they troll me and go, it's not nunchucks, it's Nunchaku. Well, in Filipino martial arts, it's neither, so you're wrong if you're talking about Filipino martial arts. It's Tabak Toyok or Chako. How about that? Troll you right back, trolls. But anyway, right here, around the head, boom, and then hit. Around the head, boom, and then hit. Now it makes sense of why we did the horizontal strikes first. But we can go strike high and then strike low. Strike high, strike low. You can strike low, strike high. Strike low, strike high. So you can play around with the elevations and have some fun with that. And they don't have to all be horizontal strikes. I could strike horizontal and then diagonal. Strike horizontal and then diagonal. So you can change it up like that too. Have some fun. Just play around. Don't take training too seriously all the time. You gotta relax, loosen up, have some fun, put a smile on your face, enjoy what you're doing. If you don't enjoy it, then don't do it. You're doing something wrong in your life. You gotta enjoy your life. Make sure that after you train all these techniques on, say, your dominant hand, you got to also train them on your non-dominant hand. The first technique naturally already gives us that. And then we got to make sure we're training our horizontal strikes with our left hand. And then the next one, what did we do? That was number 2. Number 3, we went into our X's. We had our big X, and we have our little X. And then number 4 is our overheads. So make sure that you can do all of these techniques, okay, with both hands. Very important, especially if you ever want to get into working with like your double nunchucks or anything like that. So play around, master the right, then master the left, and then you can start to switch between them using your basic switch, and you can start to really flow on your nunchucks.